My family came to the district about 1907 and settled their patch, and we have been farming ever since. And we used to come to these sorts of rocks and play as kids and have good fun and building things, and they were just rocks with interesting patterns in them. And all that time, that's all they ever were. There was an odd waterhole in winter time, a few tadpoles, and then it dried out in the summer. So it was just a plaything, somewhere to go for a picnic. In the last few years we've got interested in remnant vegetation, and we have been fencing off areas like this because they've got good remnants of the species, fauna and flora. And this one and one on our other farm, Mike Griffiths was doing a plant count and stumbled across these rocks and the interesting patterns, and in this case the dolerite seams. And when he saw the dolerite seams, he suddenly realised that there could be something special here. Well, you can see where they've knocked away at the face of the rock and tried to cut off pieces that are sharp. They've got a sharp curved edge that, like that one there, that can be used for cutting or scraping or the head of a spear. And there's just thousands of flakes of rocks, the bits that didn't make or weren't any use for. And they would keep knocking away until they could find the right shape and knock it a bit more, and then finally grind it down, I guess, to make exactly what they need it for, whether it was for scraping or for the point of a spear. We spend a lot of time preserving all our old buildings and the artefacts that belong to our pioneers, but Aboriginal history is almost not thought about or talked about. And suddenly we find these sites here that remind us that there were people who actually lived and worked here long before white men came, and it's virtually been untouched since. So to me, it's just as important as preserving our old buildings and our old machinery, because it tells us something of the people who lived here for thousands of years and who, for this was their home. And if we don't look after these sites and show people, then we lose that sense of history that we have as a nation. When I first told someone that we'd found Aboriginal quarry or stones on the farm, they said, "Shh, don't tell anyone about it," because they were really concerned that it might be considered a sacred site or a heritage site. So there's no threat or anything, but in fact it's a positive thing, because there are people in the community who want to see it preserved, and there are people who want to see it enhanced and protected. So all that does is provide an opportunity for groups to come and to fence it off, to keep it marked so it doesn't get further damaged, and it can be there to be enjoyed by many in perpetuity. I would think there would be a real fear from landowners of letting people know that there is a site like this, because they would think that people would want continuous access to it. And that would raise some concerns that people might come and access it without their permission. So landowners would not want to divulge that this is a particular important site of heritage and culture. My advice to other farmers would be to be excited about it, that you've found a significant part of our history, and then to ensure that it's protected and not degraded, and to tell someone about it, and see if we can find out more about the people who used it, the people who lived there, and something about the lifestyle that they had. I'd really like young Aboriginal guys, particularly the Morbidgee mob, to come and have a look and talk about their ancestors and how they lived and what it was like, and find out what that might mean to them. Obviously they're very conscious of their Aboriginal heritage and culture, and it'll be interesting to see whether this sort of site matters to them. And it would need something to come from some elders somewhere
in the Aboriginal movement who saw a real value in that.
Well, communication's the starting point, isn't it? You get a feel of what people think. But I think once a year is not abnormal. I think that's a good starting point.
I think a good starting point would be to get the interest of some local elders, if there are, and to meet with the farmer on the site and talk about it, and then to see what the farmer thinks about some form of recognition and some form of celebration, even so recognise that this was a site, recognise that we're people here, let's have a party, and it might be a one-off thing, or it might be an annual thing. When we come through the middle of nowhere, we come through Aboriginal land, and we ring up or write for permission to come through that, and so they know that we're moving through. And the same thing could be for a site like this with the local farmer.